When the Amaran Ace 25X first came out, all of the product review or product showcase YouTube channels went wild. I was at the time looking for a good light to use for doing Zoom calls, so I decided to give it a shot. And now, about a year and a half later, I have my own thoughts on this, and they might not all be quite as rosy as the product showcase channels were, but it's still a pretty nice product overall. Between business calls and keeping up with friends, I found myself on Zoom a lot, and for a while I was just unpacking my usual video light that I use for work. One of these, at the time it was a sun pack, now I forget what they call it, but you know, it's a pretty sizable thing. Then you gotta keep charging these batteries. They do last a good while, but you know, not forever. You gotta put that in there. And then if you don't want it to be really bright and awful on your eyes, then you gotta tape something like this wax paper on. You know, you get the point, to diffuse it. And it's pretty big, you know, kind of annoying, and the battery thing just had to keep on going, and I just didn't love it. So I wanted something also that was naturally dimmer, because even these at its lowest are still pretty bright. The Amaran was basically solving every problem that I had with the other setup. It's much smaller, it starts off much dimmer, it has a nice easy magnetic diffuser, which you never really need to take off in the first place. And when the battery was running low, I just plug in the USB-C cable that's already on my desk anyway that I use to charge my phone. I usually set this at about 10% for video calls, and I ran a test to see how long it could last at 10%, and it ran for 9 hours. That's pretty good in my book. I will say that when you start turning it up, it definitely reduces the amount of time pretty drastically. Just a couple of videos ago that I was recording, I was using this as a bit of a fill light, but I was bouncing it off the wall, so I had it at 70%, and it looked like it went down about 60 to 70% of the battery within 30 minutes. So definitely, you know, massive difference. So if you're gonna be using it at full blast, then it might not be ideal for a lot of things, but if you're going to be using it at a bit of a lower brightness, then it can go all day. A quirk that I noticed about this thing is that the battery bar on the back will at least temporarily misrepresent the amount of battery that you have left sometimes. It seems like when you first turn it on, it claims that you have a lot more battery than you actually do, or at least in some cases. So if you are kind of on the move, you're setting up quickly, and you just glance at your battery amount as you're setting up, it might not be telling you the truth. So definitely take a moment, let it kind of settle in, and it should give you a more truthful representation. One thing I would like to see in a version 2 though would be additional mounting options. There's not a magnetic mount or a 1/4-20 that allows you to mount it vertically, and sometimes you might want to. It only goes to the bottom. On one side is the magnetic mount, and then the other side is the 1/4-20. Obviously, I'm not the engineer here, so I don't know if there is a genuine limiting factor or what, but just from eyeballing it from the outside, it would seem like you could probably slip in another magnetic mount on one side here, and then maybe a 1/4-20 here. Maybe you need to pop it on the same side. I don't know, but that would be convenient. I did have one occasion when I was working a wedding, and I was using this as a bit of an edge light, and I thought that it would be nicer if I could keep it vertical and limit some of the spill. So that's my thoughts on it, and hopefully it's helped somebody. Thanks for watching.